Welcome, podcast listeners. You are here. It is another one of those interview things. You are here with your host, Mr. BudgetPedalChap. You are joined today by Simon of JSA Effects. Say hi.
Hi.
So what's up, man? You're good?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks. How are you, man?
Yeah. It's hot as balls, and it's yeah.
Yeah. I read one of those horrible news articles that reckon we're going to have another 6 weeks of this.
Oh, man. Holy shit. Yeah. I mean, I'm done with the fact that we've had however many weeks we've had so far of it, but
yeah.
Hey ho, here.
Have you reached that point where you genuinely felt like shaving your beard off?
Not yet. No. I think there's a way up between like having a full beard or showing the world an ugly face. So
yeah, I trimmed my beard down because I'd reached fisherman beard.
Oh, awesome!
And my partner looked at me and she went, "Oh my god, you have a stupid chin." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, sweetie. That's
I love
very
you
kind."
too.
Yeah.
Oh, bless him. No, my missus is very accepting of my fuzzy face. Mainly because when we started dating, I had a massive fuzzy face. But whenever she sees pictures of me with a chin, she's like, "Oh my god, you actually have got a face."
Yeah, my driving license expired, and long story short, I never renewed it. But so the picture on it is me at 17 without a beard, in my school uniform, looking like a bellend, and my partner reckons I look like Wayne Rooney with glasses.
Oh, nice.
Which is a lovely thought, a lovely comparison.
Oh dear, yeah. So essentially, like an ape.
Yeah, a freckled ape.
Nice.
Like the love child between Ron Weasley and Harry Potter.
Ooh.
If all that fan fiction came true, it was that.
Holy fuck, man. So let's get it kicked off. So you are JSA Effects, aren't you? Pretty much.
Yeah, it's me and my cat. She's wonderful. She can sort the difference between transistors and resistors, but can't differentiate between kind of bipolar and FETs yet. But she's good. She can kind of bop them out of the way dependent on size.
Awesome. So valued member of the team.
Yep.
So what is JSA Effect all about then?
I honestly don't know. That sounds like a really weird answer, but it started out as this idea to stop me from going crazy, was the short version. With a myriad of health issues, I reached a point where I couldn't play guitar anymore. I couldn't play fun computer games anymore. Watching TV is shit. And so I needed something to occupy my brain. And I had two very good friends who have become my pedal gurus, who had spent a lot of time building their own things. And I reached a point where I thought, well, fuck it. It seems like something that's quite interesting. Yeah. And so I spoke to them and said, where did you start? What did you do? And it kind of went from there. And obviously there was a point, I think very early on, I reached a point where I had quite clear goals on what I wanted to do. And as with everything else in my life, also very quickly reached a point after that where I realized my health was such an issue that I wouldn't be able to become the next JHS or Earthquaker. I was going to have to look at it a different way and treat it in a different way.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's... we've got some pretty epic things going on there to start off with. So the health issues, it could be like a massive barrier, an absolutely massive barrier for some people. And I've mentioned on your channel, on your Instagram channel before previously, and just how much admiration I've got for you being able to basically make it work through all of that.
Thank you. I do appreciate that, and I get that from a lot of people. I never know quite how to respond to it because I don't see that what I'm doing is admirable. I think the danger of any kind of chronic health issue is that you inadvertently become quite selfish. You almost have to survive.
Yeah.
And I don't, I know a couple of other people with considerably more serious conditions who do wonderful things for the community and for charities and stuff. And I just sit at home with a soldering iron. So I do as I said, I do what I do so I don't go crazy.
Yeah.
More than anything. And I was a college lecturer for a long time, and part of what I wanted to do with JSA, I wish I was JHS, that'd be amazing. What I wanted to do with JSA was give back to, there's such a big online community for DIY pedals, and I wanted to be able to help with that, and I wanted to try and do it in an approachable way. I think some people, especially when they start building pedals, feel that they can't ask questions or that they're going to get mocked for not knowing as much as everyone else. And
very much so. Yeah.
I've not been doing this a huge amount of time, really. In some ways, I'm lucky because I don't do anything else. If I wake up at midday, I will spend midday to 2 a.m. reading stuff or building stuff or stroking my cat, and that's it. That's all I do. It's not like I don't have to kind of go to work. I don't have a family to kind of look after. That's the only silver lining of health issues like mine, is that you end up with a lot of time, and so it's filling that time as best you can. I wanted to be approachable so that if people messaged me saying, I want to start building, where did you start? Or they had questions about circuits, I wanted to be able to help them as much as I could.
Yeah, and I think that really does come across on your Instagram channel.
I think
so. Yeah, like one of the things that really strikes me is the fact that you you've got lots of VeroBud builds that you share openly on your channel.
I reached a point quite early on where I realised that I couldn't do this as a profession. I wasn't going to be able to, sell thousands of units of something. But I still wanted to create things, and sharing it freely seemed like the best route to go down. This sounds like I sound like a massive hippie when I say this, and I know I've got the beard that suggests that. But throughout my kind of musical career, I never did anything for the money. In fact, the one time I did, I got severely burned and didn't get paid, which was wonderful. I've always done music. Yeah, it's a long story, but the short version is I got offered a paid gig over a free gig. So I phoned to the free gig and said I couldn't do it, and we've rescheduled it, went to the paid gig, and then at the end of the gig, the person that was supposed to pay us had fucked off, and the bar manager had said, he said not to pay anyone. So it was this huge clusterfuck.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And I think at that point it really cemented in me that if I went chasing money, I was always going to get burnt. So I did what I did for the love of it. And I was very lucky in that I was able to make a living out of it. And I could pay my rent, I could pay my bills just from doing music. And I was lucky in that way. But I never went in it to make money. Yeah. And it's been the same with the pedal stuff, that once I realised that I was never going to be able to sell thousands of units, I went, well, fuck it. That was never really I never really wanted to do that much.
Yeah.
So I was going to create things and share things, and without sounding pretentious, I wanted to help inspire people. I wanted people to be able to see the Vero and be able to kind of talk to me if they had problems or if they wanted to change things, and I wanted to make it as approachable as possible.
Yeah. I think, from your profession as being a lecturer, I think even though you had to stop that part of you never goes away, and the fact, you're not a teacher because you wanted to be paid to teach people. You're a teacher because you teach. The payment is I think it's byproduct, isn't it?
I think a lot of people forget that, and the second you become a teacher, if you're good at it, you very quickly realise that you always wanted to be a teacher. I know that sounds odd, but I know a few teachers because I was a teacher who all feel the same way, that they've all said if they had to if they had to leave the profession, they would probably be lost for a while before they could pick something else up. Even with, there's been the state of education in the UK it's a mess. It really is a mess at the moment. And I know a few teachers that have jumped ship, and I understand why. But for the most part, the teachers that I know are still teaching do it because they love being in the classroom and they love working with students. And yes, there's a lot of bureaucracy that is utter bullshit, but that's not why they do the job. They do it for their students.
Yeah. There was a certain education minister who made teaching a little bit more difficult, wasn't there?
Was it Michael Gove? Because he's a cunt. Like, if I had to slap somebody in the world, if I got a free pass to slap someone, Michael Gove is unquestionably at the top of my list.
I'm pretty sure he'd get quite a few slaps, to be honest.
Did you play the game? Did you play a little flash game that was Slap Michael Gove?
I did not, no.
Oh, man. When you get a chance, Google it. Slap Michael Gove, and it's a wonderful game where you can slap him. It's very satisfying.
Yeah, a cathartic experience.
Yeah.
So to our listeners, Google is your friend here. Give Michael Gove a slap.
Yep.
Just as a disclaimer, we're not saying to do that in person. We're saying on the internet game.
Yeah. No one would ever condone violence against any other human being or animal. It's abhorrent.
Exactly.
But Michael Gove doesn't count.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
he falls out of both of those categories, doesn't he? There's a loophole there.
Yep.
So swinging it back around to away from violence and education ministers. The Vero stuff's not the only content that you have on your channel, is it? You've got quite a bit about modding some of the cheaper end of the pedal market.
Yeah. My first foray into pedals at all was the Behringer VT911, which was a valve overdrive.
Ooh.
That I forget what music store was selling, but it was a kind of going out of sale, going out of fashion, I suppose, actually.
Yeah. Sale.
And they were selling them for 11 quid.
Shit, man.
And I saw the pedal and I thought, that's absurd for 11 quid. It seems like a laugh. Googled it, and there was a mod called the Bitmo mod that is 4 components. And I thought, I can do that. I've not soldered since university, but I reckon 4 components can't be that hard, right?
Yeah,
so my partner bought me...
Almost clip them and sellotape them on for 4 components, can you say?
I honestly considered that. That was my kind of fallback. If I couldn't solder, that was my fallback. So my partner bought me a dirt cheap soldering iron from Wilkinson's that was like a £5. You couldn't control the temperature. It kind of just set things on fire slightly. I bought the pedal and modded it. And I changed the tube, did the Bitmo mod, and it turned what was a horrendous fizzy kind of fuzz pedal into quite a reasonable overdrive. So I thought, fuck it. This was quite fun. The pedals were still 11 quid. I bought 2 or 3 more and just modded them and gave a couple to friends and kept a couple for myself. And with the right tube and the Bitmo mod, it turned something that was dirt cheap and horrendous into something that, it wasn't the Bernard Butler tube driver, but it was great.
Yeah.
And from there, as I said, that kind of reminded me that I could solder and got me into pedals again. Because for a long time, I literally had a Boss Blues driver and a Dan Electro Dan Echo and a tuner, because you have to have a tuner. But those were the kind of pedals that I'd bought when I first started playing guitar. And over the years, I've sold and pawned a shitload of gear, like every struggling student does.
Yeah.
But those were always the 2 that I was like, I'm never getting rid of them. They are fundamental to what I do. So I've completely lost my train of thought. That's wonderful, Simon. So for a long time, that was all I'd had, and I bought this kind of Behringer, modded it, and it got me back into... It kind of reminded me what pedals could do, because I didn't play a lot of electric guitar. As I said, I'd got to a point where I couldn't really play guitar at all.
Yeah.
And most of my gigging career had been as a singer-songwriter with a big acoustic guitar that was like smashing a sledgehammer into my spine. And so, as I said, once I started kind of building, there was I think every builder goes through it. There's certain milestones you hit. And for some, it's the first circuit that works the first time and the first kind of pedal that sounds good. Yeah. And then it's finding circuits that you have an affection with. So the Muff Fuzz, the original, pre-Big Muff Fuzz, was the first distortion pedal that I'd built that there was just something about it, and I fell in love with it. And the other pedal was the Dodd 250, which is a weird two-knob overdrive that, when you look at the schematics, the gain pot's in a weird place, and everything feels wrong about it, but it's wonderful. And once as I said, that was the first kind of IC-based op-amp overdrive that I loved. So when this new range of cheap Chinese pedals started flooding the market, the K-Line White Heat was the only Dodd 250 clone and it was 20 odd quid in a decent box. And I thought, well, I'll buy it just to have something to A/B against the various iterations I've built.
Yeah.
And it sounded all
stands up, yeah.
Yeah, and actually it sounded all right. It didn't work properly in terms of the gain pot. The gain pot's horrendous. It's completely the wrong taper, and you almost have to get to about 90% before it starts to distort at all.
Yeah.
And I opened it up expecting to see this sea of horrible, dirt cheap, surface-mounted components, and it wasn't. It was through hole on a decent PCB.
Yeah.
And I suddenly realised that actually this is going to be quite easy to modify. So I added it doesn't have clipping diodes like the original, so I added those.
Yeah.
I tweaked a couple of the values and put the right gain pot in, and suddenly I had this very fully functional Dodd 250 that sounded like all the boutique versions I'd made for essentially 22 quid really, with the pot and everything.
Yeah.
And it surprised me because growing up in the 80s and 90s, Chinese pedals were horrendous.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah. Have you played any of the cheap Behringer pedals?
Yeah, I had a few. Yeah, the old plastic cased ones.
Yeah. Those were the kind of things that were touted to us as kids, weren't they? Where, you're a young guitarist and they were still 40, 50 quid. But that was the cheap equivalent to buying a Boss pedal or something. Yeah,
it was a case that you could buy two of these, or you could save your money and buy one Boss pedal, and you'd be like, oh well, I'll get two of those ones.
Yeah. And they had cool names. Like I've got a Behringer Ultra Metal somewhere. Which,
yes.
That sounds great. What a great name in a horrendous neon coloured case.
Yeah, is that the kind of just like off red? It's almost kind of dark pink.
Yeah, it's like somewhere between pink and purple. It's the kind of thing that it's the same colour as vomiting up Snakebite and Black at university.
Yeah,
that colour.
That is a very British reference. that is very British. I mean, hats off to you, man.
Oh, thank you. It's not only very British; it's very of our age. Because I remember chatting to kind of kids in their late teens, early 20s who have no idea what Snakebite and Black is, and it makes me slightly sad.
Yeah, well,
it also makes me sad they can't buy it for £1.10 from a university bar anymore either.
Didn't Snakebite and Black get banned?
Yeah, because you got so shit-faced so quickly.
It was cost efficient, yeah. I mean, it's not like teenagers aren't going to get shit-faced. It was a cost-effective method. It was like taking a Bugatti from A to B, whereas these days they have to take a fucking Ford Ka or something,
or several buses. And change.
That's it. And it costs a lot more. Whereas Snakebite and Black was very much it got you where you wanted to be, which was in the teenager's mind, shit-faced. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I won't recount the story because it's very long, but the short version is after a lot of Snakebite and Black, a friend ended up in A&E after he passed out outside a nightclub, woke up in A&E, decided he didn't know where he was, decided he was okay, so ran out of A&E, like ripped the drip out of his arm, legged it, got out of the hospital, and if he turned left out of the hospital, he would have been back in the city centre.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he turned right and found himself halfway to Nottingham.
Nice.
And then I got a panicked phone call at 9 a.m. from him saying, I don't know where I am. I'm at a bus stop. I don't even know if the buses go where we need to go. It was just, I think that inspired more people to drink Snakebite and Black. It was a wonderful story to recount.
Yeah.
For a long time. Yeah, and now he's just got married. That's the dangers of aging.
Congratulations to that man. I mean,
no,
he survived the whole ordeal, so...
Yeah, with his pants. Oh, yeah, that was it. He woke up with his pants around his ankles. That's why he was confused. Oh. Pants around your ankles and a drip in your arm. Yeah. And so rather than kind of think, I'm clearly in hospital, he panicked and ran away. Don't do that. That's a really bad idea.
Shit, man. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense to someone who was previously shit-faced, doesn't it, I suppose?
Oh, yeah, it's drunken logic at its finest.
Indeed.
Yeah, right, let's go back to, so cheap pedals.
Straight back in it. So, we've got the white heat, yeah.
No dicking around. He said. The white heat was the first K-line pedal I bought, and the second I realised it was through-hole components, I went, well, this is quite fascinating. So I can't remember what I bought. I bought another K-line pedal.
Yeah.
That, again, I opened up, it was actually full through-hole components, and I was quite intrigued. And then started looking at things like the Joyo Vintage Overdrive. There's so many people talk about it and praise it.
Yeah.
And it's
got a massive cult following at the moment. The Joyo.
Yeah, I to be fair, I understand it. I hated tube screamers with all of my heart. Like they're the kind of things that you would spit on if I saw at a music venue. But I reached a point where I wondered why I hated it. Was it just my age at the time and the style I played and everything else? Was it my setup at the time? I've not played one for so long because I hated them.
Yeah.
And with so many people praising the Joyo, I thought, well, fuck it. It's 20 quid. If I built myself a tube screamer and boxed it, it would probably cost about the same.
Yeah.
So I bought a Joyo one, opened it up. Well, sorry, I got it home, played it, decided what I didn't like about the tube screamer sound, which was, it's too congested, it's very compressed, it cuts a lot of low end, the high end, once you get the tone put up, is a bit brash. So I opened it up and started modifying it and playing around with it, and because it had such a cult following, it seemed rude not to share what I was doing on Instagram, So many people own this pedal, and the mods that I did to it, I felt were quite simple. It's a resistor here, a capacitor here.
Yeah.
And the difference it made to the tone, it opened it up, it gave it what I felt was that kind of modified tube screamer. It's the kind of thing people pay hundreds of pounds for, a boutique modified tube screamer, and for less than 25 quid and a soldering iron, you could have a perfect replication of a great tube screamer modified to your specs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and from there, it cascaded really. I've ended up buying a lot of Joyo stuff, a lot of K-line stuff.
Yeah,
a lot of Mosky stuff, and the Mosky stuff's weird because it is through hole, and they are well built, but they're very difficult to modify because it's two very small PCBs mounted on top of each other.
Okay,
and to try and take those apart, it's not impossible, but it's going to take a braver soul than I to do it. Because it's kind of it's two different 8-thing headers that it's just a nightmare to take apart. So
but they're all within a 1590A as well, aren't they?
Yeah, which isn't too bad to actually open up and start playing around with, but it's how they're mounted and how they're put together that makes it difficult. But I will say this, of all the cheap pedals, the Mosky stuff has impressed me the most by a long shot. Just a while ago I bought a Joyo, the Ultimate Drive, which again seems to have picked up quite a cult following as an OCD clone.
Yeah.
And I bought one of those, and it became the bane of my life last summer because it
does subtle for a very little part, and then it's just doom.
Then it's a high gain doom machine. Yeah, it's weird. And the graphics are horrendous. I mean, I can't talk about graphics. I have literally no art skills at all, hence my build. But the weird devil face seemed really out of place for something that was supposed to be this nice low to medium gain overdrive.
Yeah,
but yeah,
there was a weird juxtaposition, weren't there, with the graphic? Because again, it makes you think it's going to be like savage metal. But I had exactly the same with the TC Dark Matter. Completely jet black enclosure. It's called Dark Matter, and it's essentially it's an OCD clone, and it's quite subtle.
Is it as high gain, or is it a much smoother sweep?
Yeah. Being TC, it's a good pedal. But it's basically it's an OCD that has two tone pots, one treble, one bass, rather than just the single.
Just the one, yeah. That makes a lot more sense, because that was part of my issue with the Joyo, was there's so much low end that it became very unusable very quickly.
In the one setting, it's really, really bad, isn't it? Yeah.
I spent the summer modifying it to get it to where, not even where an OCD would be, but to where I felt I could use it.
Yeah.
And it's one of the few pedals that I've opened up and gone back to time and time again. Like, a lot of them I modify, put it back in, see how it sounds, might take out again just to tweak it, but then that's usually it. Yeah. Whereas the OCD I was taking apart on an almost by daily basis, and it was just horrendous.
Yeah.
And again, you get to that point where you're like, I'm so sick of this, I'm going to leave it, and then come back to it a month later and like, this is awful. And I think I ended up changing, apart from the op amp and the diodes, I changed basically everything else.
Shit, man.
To reach a point where it did what I wanted it to do. It was a nice sweep. It was, smooth, and suddenly it had the brightness it needed, and it was great.
Yeah.
Then I bought the Mosky clone, which was, I think it was £18 brand new, and it was just to A/B them. The Mosky one destroyed it. Like, the Mosky is perfect. It was
even after all of these mods.
It pissed all over it. It was exactly what I wanted the Joyo to be.
Yeah.
In a smaller box that was cheap. I think the Ultimate Drive was like £20 used.
Yeah.
And this was £18 brand new, and it was just everything the Joyo should have been. But I will say this, for all of the cheaper Chinese brands, there are each brand has a couple of real standout pedals that I don't think are ever going to trouble the big name manufacturers.
Oh, no, not at all.
We're living in that kind of golden age of pedals, really, for boutique builders. Absolutely. And those on a budget. And the Mosky stuff, I've got a handful of Mosky pedals, and I can't praise them enough. The K-Line stuff, some of it's hit and miss, but when they get it right, they get it really right. When it's wrong, it's not bad, but you don't complain about it as much because it was £20. Like, if you'd bought the same pedal for £100, you would send it back.
Yeah.
And the Joyo stuff, every Joyo pedal I've bought so far has had the wrong type of pot for the gain control. Every single one.
Yeah.
And it seems to be hit, especially the vintage overdrive seems to be the big culprit, where they've made a few iterations of the same board, and some of them have the right gain pot, and it sounds great, and it works exactly how a Tube Screamer should. A handful of them don't. And so what you see a fair few people talking about it, and they can't praise it enough.
Yeah.
And then you see other people talking about it and go, well, there's too much gain. You get the gain pot to 9 o'clock and suddenly it's full overdrive. Yeah. And I suppose that's the danger. That's the only downside to buying stuff under £30, really.
Yeah.
Is it's hit and miss. But when, as I said, when they get it right, it's amazing.
Yeah. Circling back to us talking about our Behringer youth. I think the kids of today will be able to afford those Moskies, the Joyos, the K-Lines, and it's a much nicer introduction to pedals than we had with the Behringer stuff. Or you'd get like a Zoom multi-effects unit, and then
the 505. What a pedal! That was amazing.
Amazingly shit.
It made my Ibanez RG sound exactly like an acoustic guitar through its acoustic simulator patch. It was phenomenal.
I'm sure if you listened back to that, if you plugged it in today, it may not sound quite as authentic as you once believed.
I can't remember. I was recounting this story to someone. I had a old 4-track tape recorder when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And yeah, I recorded a few things that were my pointy Ibanez through the acoustic simulator into it. At the time, I was like, yeah, this sounds exactly like an acoustic guitar. Until I bought like an 80 quid Encore acoustic guitar, and suddenly like, oh, actually, that sounds like an acoustic guitar. Yeah. I then found some of the tapes from my old 4-track, and listening back to it, you're like, how did I ever think that sounded like an acoustic guitar? It's just this garbled mess of modulation trying to
to cover it.
It's horrendous.
I think acoustic sims in general they're
hit and miss.
Yeah. Just before we move on, actually, I'd like to kind of do a little bit of a translation for our less pedal savvy viewers, because we mentioned quite a few terms in the last bit, especially through hole components being one of them. And if you don't understand what that means, it means that the last bit was very much useless information to you. So as a kind of basics, a lot of electronics these days is done with what's called surface mount components, which are basically very small versions of your traditional components that you'd find in like your old GCSE electronics classes, and they're usually installed with robots doing a lot of the legwork. Through hole stuff is the kind of stuff that you would have found in like back in your school's DT classes. And it used to be the way that a lot of pedals were built. And these days, like I say, everything's pretty much moving towards the surface mount stuff where it's all robotically done, which means it's a lot harder to modify. You usually need to use a hot air blower and some tweezers to do the surface mount stuff.
And you also risk, because surface mount stuff is so close together, because it's done by a robot, if you try and modify it with a soldering iron, you risk catching any kind of component around it and also melting that off. So it's very, very difficult to do by hand.
I was chatting with Adrian Thorpe a couple of months back now about modifying a Boss DS1. And he said, make sure that you get a through-hole version, because if you get a surface mount one, you don't even want to bother. Just flog it and see if you can get a through-hole one. And that was coming from the man himself,
I find it very odd that Boss have gone that way, because for a long time, most of their, especially drive pedals, were all through-hole, and they weren't huge circuits.
Yeah.
And I can't see why they've gone over to surface mount stuff, but I suppose it's cost efficiency and everything else.
Yeah, I imagine that a lot of their newer stuff is designed through the surface mount stuff, so it makes sense if they've got these large robots doing the jobs for the newer pedals, then they might as well redesign the old stuff so that it can run through that as well.
It's a shame because the DS1 has fallen prey to the SMD thing. So is the SD one, which is a great. If you don't like the Tube Screamer and you think it's a bit too mid-C, the SD one is a great mid-heavy pedal that isn't as bad as a Tube Screamer.
Yeah, it's a great compromise.
It's a great alternative.
I had an epiphany with the SD one. Probably about 4 or 5 months ago now. I was on a massive Boss hating kick. But ended up with an SD1 in a trade, and I thought I'll give it a go. It'll give me some more ammunition to hate on Boss. and then it ended up being really good.
Yeah,
and it almost single-handedly like changed my mind about Boss stuff.
I think there's a lot of. I think the term true bypass and buffered bypass is partly to blame for a lot of people hating Boss. So the Boss bypass system, obviously, when the pedal's off, it's still passing the signal through not the entire circuit, but through the buffers of the circuit.
Yeah.
And if there's a handful of people who say that it completely changes the tone of your guitar, and terms like tone suck come up a lot, where it's the bypass affecting your guitar's natural tone. And I think for some, arguably, there are some Boss pedals that have quite bad tone suck and alter your guitar's tone in a way that usually makes it slightly nasal and loses some of the high end. But there are also some Boss pedals that have got wonderful buffered bypasses, and I think the SD1 for me was the one that I felt the bypass was actually okay.
Yeah.
My Blues Driver, I had one of my issues with the Blues Driver, even though I've kept it for 20 odd years. I don't know, 98 I bought it, so I don't even know what that is. 20 years.
Yeah.
Man, I'm really old. One of my issues with that was the bypass. It does really affect the tone.
Yeah.
But the SD1 that I picked up secondhand doesn't. The DS1 does slightly, but again, I think with the DS1 on your board, you almost... man, this is going to sound really offensive to some people. If you've got a DS1 on your board and you're using it for high gain, you probably couldn't give less of a shit about the bypass signal. You want it on. You want to be Kurt Cobain. You want your clean sound. Yeah,
it's not high on your list of tonal.
No, it's
tonal goals, is it?
No, it's about having the gain on full and just blasting it out.
That's it. It's very much the grunge sensibility, isn't it? Middle fingers up to the system and the guitar.
Yeah, and then you get slight. It's weird. I had this epiphany a couple of years ago. When I was young, grunge music spoke to me, but I couldn't ever fully comprehend the lyrics. Like, I knew what they were saying, but I couldn't feel that way. And at some point in my 30s, I went, wow, suddenly all of these lyrics make absolute perfect sense. And it wasn't just guys shouting and being mad at their dads. It had these wonderful, very deep meanings to it.
Yeah.
And Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins especially were the two bands that I listened to again in my 30s and had a whole newfound appreciation for what they were doing. It wasn't just being angry.
Yeah. Well,
even though the guitar tones were just really thin metal tones. But.
The guitar tone, it is very much about just being angry.
Yes.
So I'm just going through my list, see where we've got to. You've got in your like some of your original pedals. We had the Optimus, was it, and the Rodimus.
Yeah.
Which absolutely, to me, I mean, it refers back to my childhood. So to those who do not know, that is Gen 1 Transformers references there.
Yeah. Yep. When I started building pedals, as I said, when I was a college lecturer, I taught music technology and performance stuff, and the music technology side of it was very much, it was mostly studio recording and a bit of live sound. When my health declined to a point that I couldn't work, I wanted to do something. I wanted to stay within the music industry. I wanted to do something beneficial, and I'd always had a kind of small home setup, which was pretty much a laptop and a microphone, but I started picking up more gear and built a little home studio with the plans of mostly kind of mixing stuff. So I've got a couple of friends who have like online websites where you send them the tracks, you send them the multi-tracks, they mix it and then send it back to you. Yeah. So I was looking at going down that route, but again, very quickly realised that my health issues mean that trying to do anything to a timetable is impossible. So I ended up with some wonderful gear and a lovely space that is almost redundant. But part of what I got obsessed with doing studio recording stuff was cool analog gear. So like the Neve 1073 preamps, the 1176 compressors, all this really cool stuff that has a massive impact on the sound of recordings. For all the wonders that computers and digital recording's given us, we're starting to lose the classic recording tones. So, if you listen to Led Zepp, especially kind of 70s Led Zepp stuff, and then compare it to something that you've done yourself, even if you tried to record the same things through a computer, yes, there'll be playing differences, but there's something that you can never quite put your finger on that makes them so different.
Yeah.
And the big thing for me was saturation. So there's a fine line between a clean sound and a distorted sound, or even an overdriven sound.
Yeah.
Crystal clear, as in plugging straight into your computer, almost sounds unnatural. But then obviously you get to a point with overdrive where you can audibly hear it distorting. Unfortunately, the gap in between isn't this tiny gap; it's this huge range, and in there you have a range of saturation. So you can distort things and distort a sound in such a way that you don't hear the distortion.
Yeah.
But you hear all the extra harmonics it's adding. You hear it affect the tone. And a lot of studio did that by having transformers in them. So for a long time, rather than using kind of buffers or anything to match the impedance that was an active circuit, people used transformers. I think mostly because the studio recording stuff's built off of the old telephone systems and those kind of patching and matching impedances. So things like the Neve 1073 had an input transformer that changed the impedance of whatever was hitting it to whatever it needed to be, and then an output transformer that changed the impedance so it matched whatever it was going into. And the entire signal went through both of those stages. And those two transformers saturate in such a way that it affects the tone. So Neve 1073 as a preamp design is not only revered, but it's been cloned more than the Clon Centaur. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of Neve 1073 clones.
Yeah.
And the big thing is the transformers in them. The rest of the circuit, it's pretty simple. It's not anything special, but those transformers affect the tone in such a way that it's magic. And when you listen to a recorded guitar tone, the sound has gone through maybe 5 or 6 of these transformer stages. So what was coming out of the amp and what's hitting the computer or tape is totally different. And it was something that I felt, especially with computer recording, we were missing. Everyone's trying to get that pro studio sound, but we couldn't do it because we didn't have the gear. You don't have these big old transformers and tubes and stuff. And in the guitar world, tubes are gods to some extent. People spend hundreds of pounds on individual tubes for their amps or for pedals. But no one seemed to give a shit about transformers, which I couldn't comprehend. It made every classic album you've ever heard has got transformer saturation smothered all over it. So what I wanted to do was my very first thing building pedals was I wanted to build pedals with transformers in so that you could get not quite a studio sound, but you could get that really subtle saturation that it doesn't sound like a tube, it doesn't sound like tape, it is a very unique sound. So the first circuit that I designed myself was just a transformer circuit, and it was literally kind of a couple of things. So it matched then the transformer and then a slight makeup stage, because the transformers I used were kind of weird windings, just because I needed something that was cost effective and size dependent. A decent transformer is massive, whereas you can't fit that in a pedal. And a decent transformer might set you back 70 quid, which was absurd to then try and put into a guitar pedal. So
absolutely, yeah.
That was my goal, was to build pedals with transformers in, and that's, to be honest, that is still my goal to some extent. But when I first started, a lot of what I was doing was just building stuff off the internet. You Google Vero or DIY of whatever circuit, and designs come up. And because I'd done that and then just added the transformer stage, the pedals themselves weren't unique. And then it was from there that I then started wanting to focus on the circuit side rather than transformer side. So I have left it behind ever so slightly, and I miss it. I do want to go back to it, and certainly I built a compressor that I called the Optimus Squeeze because of nostalgia. That is an optical compressor into a transformer, and I absolutely adore it. It's the first pedal compressor I'd ever built or used that I didn't hate. I've tried things like the Ross compressor and the Dynacomp and stuff are great compressors, but they just were never for me. My other big issue was, what's the deal with pedal compressors not having metering? Like, compression is a really subtle effect. It's very hard to hear. And actually, the reason I started with compressors was one of my pedal gurus had been looking for a pedal compressor for a long time, and he'd been using the Dodd Milk Box, which is quite a cool pedal. But it always sounded shit when he used it, and none of us could figure out why. And it's because trying to set a pedal compressor is hard. You adjust the kind of sensitivity or compression knob or whatever it's called until you can hear it. And then people either knock it back a little bit or leave it. And by the time you can hear compression, it's too much.
It's too late, isn't it?
Yeah. Whereas, like, at the moment, I'm recording through a little preamp that's got a compressor just so I can keep a reasonable level on this. And I can see the meter knocking back. And I know that I'm not killing the sound, I'm not destroying it, but I know it's being compressed when needs be.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand, why didn't pedals have metering? I appreciate you can't put a VU meter into a small format pedal, but fucking anything so you can see it. Yes, you trust your ears, but you need to be able to see if it's doing 1 or 2 dBs of gain reduction.
Yeah.
So this optical, I went for an optical design because I realized very quickly that I could attach another kind of LED to the Vactoral, and that would show me exactly when and how much the compression was being triggered.
Yeah, you get.
So it was a design,
a visual as well as the audio, don't you?
Yeah. So as I say, it is still one of my favourite pedals, and it's one of the things. It was a milestone for me, and I'm very proud of it. I haven't followed it up or done anything with it because if I wanted to build it to sell to people, it would cost a fucking fortune. Despite all of my attempts to keep stuff cheap and keep it as affordable as possible, with going down the transformer route wasn't that easy.
Yeah.
And over the last kind of 2 years, there's been a couple of pedals that have now come out with transformers. So API brought out a series with output transformers. Obviously, Neve did some stuff with Bogner, and they made a couple of pedals that are phenomenal, but cost about £300 each.
Shit.
Yeah. But they're cool. Like the compressor, the bypass LED also acts as the compression indicator, and it's cool as fuck.
Right. So it's very much following the train of thought that you were going for. With yours.
Yeah, and the second you put Rupert Neve's name on anything, you can't compete with it in any shape, way, or form.
Oh yeah, it becomes fucking golden, doesn't it?
Yeah. It wasn't Bogner. It's someone beginning with B. Like it might be Burnley or something. If you just Google Neve pedal, I'm sure it'll pop up. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to do, and that was my big ethos starting JSA, was to have pedals with transformers so that you could simulate to some extent a studio sound.
Yeah.
And especially on a clean sound into a clean amp, it just adds that extra layer of polish that it's not the same as a tube, it's not the same as magnetic tape. It is something so subtle but so rich and just vibrant. It's wonderful.
Absolutely. We've got a couple of things before we wrap up. One of which is me getting up on a soapbox and having a little bitch. So yeah, I think we're going to go there. So having followed your Instagram for probably the best part of a year now, I finally plucked up the courage to go for something that I thought would be a nice, straightforward, simple build. It was the Green Chai Micro, which is essentially your take on it's the Tube Screamer with a single gain knob and internal tone and volume trimmers.
The original layout's actually based on. It's long-winded. It's a modified version of the Joyo Tai Chi, which itself is a modified version
TS9,
of
isn't it?
early TS9. Yeah.
So it's going around the houses.
But I realised you could. If I did the layout like that, you could switch components to make it either a standard like 808 or the TS9 or the modified route.
Yeah. So I had an attempt at doing this, and for those who have listened to the podcast will know that it did not go as planned.
Yeah.
So.
I did. I hope I put enough warnings on it. When I do the kind of very small 1590A designs, the circuit boards are horribly crammed.
Yeah.
And they look deceivingly simple. And it's not that I don't think they're particularly difficult, but they're not straightforward. It is a lot of bending components, and it's literally cramming stuff in. And the other thing you and I were discussing was the danger of tantalum caps, where if you've tantalum caps over 1U tend to have quite distinct markings they always mark the positive leg for some reason.
Yeah, they are polarized. So you put them in one way and they work, and you put them in the other and they have the...
Yep. They do nothing at all whatsoever.
I was told that they have the potential of catching fire.
I think depending where they are in a circuit, but if it's like a power rail to ground with a cap, it doesn't even blow up spectacularly. That's what's what sucks. It blows up, but it's like in a little pop, and then there's a hiss of smoke.
Yeah, it's an anticlimactic.
Yeah, unlike an LED, blow up an LED. That's really fun. I can't recommend that enough.
Oh, I've done that.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. It glowed incredibly bright, and then now it doesn't work.
Yep. As I said, with those very small Veros, they are simple. I feel like simple circuits, but because they're crammed in, I hope I warn people enough that they're not as easy as you think they're going to be. They're cramped to hell. I mean, in terms of actually building it, it was a hell of a lot of fun, and the challenge was something great. And I think it's only a matter of maybe testing and switching a couple of components before it starts working. And I'm not going to give up on this one, even if I can't get that circuit working. I'm going to get the components again, and I'm going to build that motherfucker. I really hope it works, man, because this is the other issue I have. So with the kind of I forget what it's not. Is it Free Stuntbox or DIY Stuntbox? Where if you Google Vero builds for stuff, there's a website.
Yeah, DIY one. I think it's DIY Stuntbox. Yeah.
Yeah. They always go through a couple of revisions of their layouts, because there'll always be someone who's like, I built this and this was wrong, and they'll be like, okay, I'll change it.
Yeah.
So
you get that verified stamp on it.
Yeah, and I can't do that. And sometimes I can if people build them and kind of message me and say, I built it sounds cool, or I built it sounds shit. But for the most part, I kind of put things up, and I hope I get across that yes, it's what I've built, but I go off a paper layout which. I share to people if they need to, but my handwriting is atrocious. I have classic teacher handwriting, and so there's always that risk that going from my hand-drawn, shonky paper one to putting it into a computer and digitizing it, that I've missed something, or I've put something in the wrong hole, and I do everything I can to check it myself. I do everything I can to check it, but again, you kind of go blind to it after a while. It's like if you write something, you need someone else to proofread it.
Oh, absolutely. I was building the same circuit on two different PCBs a couple of weeks back, and and I was doing them component at a time on each and every one and moving back and forth. And I ended up putting the diodes in the wrong way on one of them, even though I'd done it perfectly with the other one. So.
Did it make a difference? Because if they're clipping diodes, as long as they're back to front, it should be fine.
I ended up taking them out and putting them in the correct way.
Fair enough.
I haven't got round to testing those boards yet. It's on my list of things to do. I mean, we were talking about this before we started the recording. The fact that it is so hot at the moment. The last thing that you want to do is hold a glowing rod of heat anywhere near you.
Yeah. I'd also forgotten, whilst I love my music room is the coldest room in the house because of where it is and where the sun is.
Yeah.
And so in the summer, it's wonderful if I come in here and just play pedals. It's why I kind of got my guitar and stuff up in here. I did forget that the dangers of having beautiful analog gear is that it turns it into a fucking cooker. And, you kind of, I can just feel heat radiating off everything. I'd forgotten about that aspect of studio stuff. This is absolutely why cool studios have air conditioning.
Indeed.
So going back to when you were saying about putting diodes in the wrong way, it reminded me of for everyone has this kind of impression that if you buy a mass-produced effects pedal, that it's going to be right. So if you buy an Electro-Harmonix Big Muff, it's going to work how expected. And like we were saying, if you buy maybe a Joyo or a Mosky and it doesn't work straight away, or doesn't work how expected, there is some element of like, well, fuck it was 20 quid, just lob it.
Yeah.
But as I said earlier, I fell in love with the Muff Fuzz circuit. It was there was just something about it. And I learned a lot from it. It's not a huge build, and if you change any of the components, you can get some really cool sounds. So I did what I tend to do, which I buy the original or as close to, so I can A/B it against what I'm building. Mm-hmm. So I bought the Electro-Harmonix Muff Overdrive is their reissue of it.
Yeah.
As a pedal. And I bought one to A/B against it, and it sounded awful. Like, it was the worst pedal I've ever heard. And I've got some horrible, like, surface-mounted stuff from the 80s that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. But it didn't sound anything like any of even the stuff I built that only half worked sounded better than it. So I opened it up and looked at it, and I couldn't see anything wrong. I couldn't see anything burnt out. So I Googled it, and there was a whole article about how one of the transistors was in the wrong way round. And you think, this is a mass-produced pedal. This is a big company making mass-produced pedals. How can they be that daft? And again, it's not surface-mounted components. It's big through-hole components that it might have been done by machine, but I almost guarantee they were placed by humans.
Yeah.
So I opened it up and looked at it and thought, well, it looks right. It's right with what it says on the board. Mm-hmm. But you start tracing it and you go, well, actually, yeah, it is the wrong way round. So I turned it round. Suddenly it sounded great. It sounded absolutely brilliant. It was what I was expecting it to sound like. So I thought, this is weird. Is this just a one-off? Have they changed the PCB? So I bought another one because you can pick them up for about 20 quid. And if you buy, I think that's a great route into modifying pedals. The Electro-Harmonix Muff Overdrive is a very simple circuit, and you can get a lot of tones out of it, and you can go as crazy as you want or keep it very simple, and it's a great platform to modify from. Uh-huh. But I bought another one, plugged it in, it sounded worse, and I didn't understand. Like, how does this sound worse? It's the same pedal. I opened it up, and it's a slightly different revision of the PCB, in which the other transistor was the wrong way round. So
fuck, man.
I now own 3 Electro-Harmonix Muff Overdrives, 1 Revision E, 2 Revision Ds. The Revision E, I forget which transistor was the wrong way round, but it was one of them. And Revision D had the other transistor the wrong way round. And if you swap them, if you make it right and put it the right way around, they are great overdrive pedals that, I've got a guy that I've built a fair few kind of very kind of specific boutique custom builds for. I'm currently working on a fuzz for him, actually. I think you've probably seen it on my page. It's the bright orange one with the Marshall knobs.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's he wanted a silicon fuzz that would work with. He's got a single channel Marshall amp, so he uses his volume control a lot to adjust the gain of it. And he wanted a fuzz that worked well with that. So I spent a long time, and I finally came up with a circuit that he absolutely loves and is going in that box. But he tried, once I'd fixed my favour drive, he tried that, and he was absolutely blown away by it. He loved it. And, yes, they're dirt cheap pedals, they're 20 quid, or, you can, whatever. But if you want to get into kind of modding, or you want something that is quite a cool, simple overdrive, there's no gain control, there's no tone, it is what it is. Yeah, but it's a great place to start, and it's, if it doesn't work, you just use it as a doorstop. It's cool.
Yeah, a cool paperweight or a doorstop.
Yeah, it's a nice little box as well.
Awesome. Yeah, you've sparked me off here. I think I might have to pick one up. I've got far too many things going on at the moment. I need to calm it down.
Or do more. Just pick up everything. Never stop.
Yeah, that sounds like the thing that I will actually do. Yeah, fuck Logic. Right, so we've got two more things. It's kind of to wrap us up, and we've kind of touched on on this one. But so what's going on with the future of JSA? Where are we heading in the next kind of year or so, and what are the goals for?
This sounds horribly dark, and I don't mean it to, but it's how I feel, so it's how it comes out. If I survive heart surgery at the end of the month, then who knows? It could be wonderful. If I don't, then I have a shitload. I'm happy with what's on Instagram, and I hope people will pay homage to it and build stuff and hate it, and it'll be wonderful. But there's no. I've never had a long-term plan with it. I will keep building stuff. I will keep sharing stuff. I will keep helping people in any way that I can. I will keep buying dirt cheap pedals to experiment with, even if it's like with yourself, if it's just to demo them and say this was 16 quid, it was cool, or this was 18 quid, it's all right, kind of thing. Yeah. Like Mosky have just brought out their version of the Klon Centaur, and it's 16 quid brand new. 16 quid.
Shit, man. I can attest that you cannot make it for that.
No, I know, it's ridiculous. So I've bought one to see if it's comparable to the Tone City and the Movil one.
Which one was the Tone City one then?
Bad Horsey.
Of course.
Which is exactly the same as the Movil Minotaur, which it was Movil, then one of the guys left and started Tone City, so it's exactly the same circuit, just with different graphics. And the Movil Minotaur was the first Klon that I tried that made me go, this is what it's supposed to be like. That's quite cool.
Yeah.
Because I modified a soul food for someone a while ago.
They're really not a Klon, are they?
No, and I don't want to bag on EHX, but EHX, yeah. But even that had that surface mounted components, and there was a massive solder bridge between two components that was changing the sound completely. So I got rid of this one blob of solder, and suddenly it sounded completely different. It made it sound more mid-heavy than a tube screamer. It was terrible. But sorted that out, suddenly it sounded much better. It still wasn't a Klon, but it sounded way better, and then went on from there and modified it.
Yeah, there's a huge storm about the soul food when they were. It was after they'd been released for about 3 or 4 months, around that kind of Christmas time. People were just going absolutely mental for them.
Yeah,
and I ended up buying a J-Rod Archer as well, just to see what the fuss was, and it was fine. It was. Don't get me wrong, it was a nice enough pedal, but I've not got it now.
Because I thought the Archer was supposedly the closest clone ever. That's what they kind of everyone keeps saying. Apparently he'd spoken to, is it Bill Finnegan of Klon? I forget his actual name. But he'd spoken to the guy and got the secret source for the Magic Unicorn diodes, and apparently the absolute closest you could get without buying a real Klon.
Spending ridiculous cash.
Yeah, without selling your car, your kidneys, your family to buy one pedal.
Yeah, and honestly, it was okay. It weren't what I was after.
Have you tried the J-Rocket Dude?
I have not, no.
That's quite a cool pedal. It kind of, I hate it when people say this. I'm going to hate myself for saying it, but it's Dumble-esque. And it's great.
It's buzzwords.
Yeah, I've not tried it, but I know a few people who own it and have kind of tried it. Yeah. And the demos I've heard from them are just gorgeous. But I would still much rather have the K-Line Pure Sky, their Timmy clone, 20 fucking quid, and it's arguably my favourite pedal that I've bought. Just, I cannot praise it enough.
Bang on. Now this final question, it's one that one of our kind of our regulars in the podcast group keep putting forward as a question, but it always gets ignored. So this question: what is your favourite type of cheese?
I don't like cheese.
Oh.
When I was a lecturer, we would always do an ice break thing, which was exactly this. It was name your favourite cheese. So it's your name, your favourite band or style of music, and your favourite cheese.
Yeah.
And when it got to me, I could either say I don't like cheese, which would get kind of booze.
Yeah.
Or I'd say cheese string. Cheese strings are amazing because they're not real cheese.
No, they are.
They fall apart in string.
They're
it's
mostly
amazing.
plastic,
That's
aren't
the
they?
future. Yeah. Tasty yellow plastic that's never seen a cow in its life.
No. There you go. So that one's for our Chris. Cheese string.
Delicious cheese string.
To be honest, I had a childhood with cheese strings, so
it feels like quite a British thing, doesn't it? I think they came in in the 90s, and there was a huge craze for them for a while.
Yeah.
And then Dairy Lee did the Lunchables things with
they had the
a couple of
Dunkers
crackers,
as well,
ham,
didn't
and
they?
cheese.
With the jumbo tubes, which were always the best ones. These garlic, almost like garlicky crisps, but tubes, and then Dairy.
Because I'm in my 30s. My partner is a college lecturer. I was a college lecturer. We're hardworking professionals with postgraduate degrees, and there is still donkeys in my fridge.
Boom! You heard it here first.
They're amazing.
The professional's
that's not real
choice.
cheese. It is the professional's choice. I'm sure there's professionals around the country nodding along, going, "Yep, you can't beat a donkey."
Indeed, I think generally speaking, this has been our most British podcast to date. So
we did start by talking and having a cup of tea, so it was always going to go this way.
Indeed. So I think we should doff our top hats, polish our monocles, and then call it a day, escaping on our penny farthings. So
which thanks to Brexit, we won't be able to afford penny farthings.
For all of you who have
year.
not who have not checked out JSA Effects on Instagram, do it. Just do it, because it's a wonderful place. And even if you're not invested in the DIY pedal building and modding, it might just convince you to do that. But there's some really cool info on pedals in general there as well. So I'm fully going to endorse the JSA Effects, and you'll find the occasional comments from me as well. So get involved on that. As for the podcast, you know where to go. You've got the podcast group on Facebook. You've got myself on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube /BudgetPedalChap. You know this stuff. And that's pretty much it for today. So, from myself, Mr. BudgetPedalChap, from Simon over at JSA Effects, it will be a goodbye and good night. Tatty bye.
I'm just waving.
Indeed. It translates really well to the medium of podcast.
That is the joys of podcasting and radio.
Yeah. Wave to the camera.
Yeah. But it does also mean I can wear pajama bottoms without feeling weird.
Yep. You're a step ahead of me wearing bottoms. Donald ducking. Boo.